So it looks like at this point pretty much everyone in the gaming industry is fine with Xbox Activision acquisition. I mean, everyone except Sony, of course. Let's look into this. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So it looks like most of the gaming industry is supportive of that Xbox Activision acquisition. Sony is still trying to block that deal. Hey, no surprise there. Looks like they will fight till the end. But it looks like they will fail in this fight. I mean, European Union is pretty much fine with that deal going through, obviously with some concessions, and that's actually what they are actually working right now with Microsoft. And by the way, I did report that EU is not really concerned about Call of Duty exclusivity or these deals really on consoles or PC. If anything, they are more worried about streaming and the cloud gaming and that kind of stuff, you know, the new markets really. That's what they are afraid. They are afraid that Microsoft may become a monopolist in that market. But looks like that's not really going to stop that deal, because that's why Microsoft is actually signing these Call of Duty, and not only Call of Duty, because, you know, Xbox games deals as well, allowing these Call of Duty and Xbox games on all kinds of streaming services in the future if that deal goes through. So yeah, looks like Microsoft is actually on a, you know, on a good path to actually acquiring Xbox Activision. But that's not really what I really want to talk about today. What I really want to talk about is some of the comments we've heard from the gaming industry, like publishers and developers, because I did say at the very beginning of this video that most of the gaming industry is supportive of that deal. And saying that, I mean like developers, publishers, not necessarily like gaming media, if you know what I mean, because like there's quite a lot of outcry over there, like you know, I would say pro Sony kind of media are still trying to create this narrative that it's going to be bad for, you know, gaming and whatever, right? Either way, it's actually very refreshing to hear from actual developers, because like I think CMA received some letters from developers, so like documents from developers, where they were pretty much fine and with that deal going through. And one of these letters were actually super interesting, because in this letter, this particular developer, although, you know, apparently these letters were anonymous, so, or at least the information who actually wrote these letters have not been made publicly available. So, you know, I'm sure that Microsoft and CMA knows who said that. But basically, in one of the letters, one of the developers basically said that he is really hoping that this deal goes through, because this will allow Microsoft to be more competitive against PlayStation, right? Because, you know, he's in this letter, he's describing a situation where, because of the almost you know, a monopolist kind of thing going on in the gaming market, at least especially in some of the markets like European market, Japanese market, you know, smaller developers don't have a chance of you know, of recognition on the platform, on PlayStation platform, especially when PlayStation is really heavily invested in these big AAA blockbusters kind of games like Call of Duty and their own exclusive. They don't really promote smaller indie titles anymore. You guys remember how PlayStation was proud of investing and promoting indie titles at the very beginning of last generation? Well, looks like they are still obviously the biggest platform and stuff, but it's very difficult to promote these smaller games because they go against these AAA blockbusters kind of titles like Call of Duty and Battlefields and these others. While Xbox is a bit different thing, because this developer describes how it's easier to get recognized on Xbox, and what's actually happening is that thanks to the fact that there's more ways to be noticed on Xbox platform, sometimes these games sell better on Xbox than PlayStation, even though PlayStation is a bigger player, even though there's a more of a install base on PlayStation, right? Like if you combine both PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 consoles combined, we're talking about like 3 times bigger of a kind of a markets, really, right? So that tells that's actually a very interesting message. And basically at the end of this letter, this developer said that he actually wants this deal to go through, because hopefully this will allow Xbox and Microsoft to be more competitive, and basically maybe he's hoping for Sony and PlayStation to change their stance on things, and hopefully they will be more, I guess, developer friendly. And I'm not talking about tools and and developing games, but I guess it's more about promotion of these smaller titles. And I'm sure you remember some leaks from like 2 years ago when there was this court case. Was it Epic versus Apple, I think? And during that court case, we have actually learned a lot about some of the shady businesses or shady things that PlayStation was doing, because they were actually charging developers like big money for promoting their games on PlayStation Store, apparently. Now, I'm not really sure if that's still happening and stuff, but yeah, looks like some of these developers, smaller developers, are still complaining about it. So yeah, I mean, generally speaking, looks like gaming industry is really supportive of that deal, and even if they don't actively, support it, they don't really care much. Like, it doesn't really affect them. They don't see that particular transaction going through as a threat for their own existence, right? I don't think that, and it makes sense, because like gaming industry is such a big industry, and there's such a fierce competition there. And the fact that you've got a big IP and a lot of developers and big marketing budget, sometimes even that doesn't really work. And we've seen some big games failing in the past, and that means nothing really sometimes. But so you just have to make good games, I guess. Like, I mean, that's a good start, right? You may have all the money in the world and for game development and promotion, but if you end up with a bad game, nothing will help you really, and even Game Pass will not help you. Remember, guys, Crossfire X? I think that was the name of the game. Well, it's kind of dead now, even though it was on Game Pass and stuff, because it was a bad game, right? Yes. It had its 5 minutes, it had its moment, when, Xbox did promote that game, but it ended up pretty bad or not good enough for people to actually stick around and play that game for longer. And didn't they announce that they are actually shutting down the servers soon or something like that? Yeah, so there you go. Like, you may have all the money and all the support of a big company and all that stuff, but if you produce a bad game, well, it's not going to sell. And to be honest with you, like, Game Pass will even make your failure bigger, I guess, because, you know, most people, if they hear that the game is not really good, they will either not play it at all or give it a try on Game Pass, and they will not even try to invest their own money, big money, in buying that game. So when where in a situation where your game is not in Game Pass, I mean, some people will still buy it, and developers will end up, you know, getting some money. Yes, you may refund the game later, but you know how these refunds actually work. So yeah, Game Pass may be a double-edged sword, if you know what I mean. Like, if your game is good, well, Game Pass will actually may lead that game to even bigger of a success if it's good. But hey, if it's bad, like, Game Pass will actually make that I guess not necessarily the game wars, but you know, the impact wars, I guess, for gamers. And like yeah, you just have to, you know, developers have to just make good games, I guess. Anyway, guys, so that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward for that deal going through sooner rather than later. I just kind of you know, there's like 5-6 big news about that deal every single day. You know, I make a video like, you know, every other day or once for a while, like 2 times a week, because there's just like, you know, too much stuff going on with this deal, and like half of this stuff I don't even understand really. A lot of times it's just corporate speak and, you know, some bullshit. So yeah, anyway, I just want this deal to go through and you know, just move on and start talking about some real gaming news, because, you know, it's a sad thing really. It looks like this particular deal, because it's so close to being either allowed or blocked, right? Because we will actually learn the final decisions like pretty soon. Everyone just keeps talking about it, and they just kind of ignore other news really, right? And that's kind of sad. But anyway, hopefully this deal will go through very soon, and we'll actually move on and start talking about games and technology and some other stuff. So anyway, thanks a lot again for tuning in, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.